So, hello. And I would like to record for you a little something from the Sydney Banks book, The Missing Link, Reflections on Philosophy and Spirit. So I'm going to read for you today. I used to do this every morning when I worked at the treatment centre before our morning meditation. So here we go. This is a foreword from George Pransky. The author's gift and the greatest contribution of this book is the ability to unify the fields of psychology and spirituality. This book, The Missing Link, connects the spiritual nature and the psychological nature of humanity. It shows the reader that these facets of life are and always have been one. Just as 7 days and 1 week are two different terms denoting the same unit of time. The author's words attempt to show us that all fields of knowledge are like the hues of the rainbow behind a prism. They only appear to be different from the light on the other side. I recommend this book to anyone, professional, student, or layman, who is looking for a deep interest in psychological or philosophical journey that will stimulate the mind and give the reader food for thought. That's by George Pransky, who's also got some amazing books himself. So the preface by Judith Sedgman. The truth in this book speaks directly to the heart and soul of the reader. It opens the door to an inner life of stability and contentment, which everyone intuitively knows, yet many have lost sight of in their daily pursuits. In the loving voice of an author who speaks from the certainty of enlightenment, this book offers solace to the world weary, hope to the discouraged, direction to the lost, and contentment to the discontented. It speaks simply, yet with profound wisdom, of the inborn potential for the well-being, peace, and happiness of all mankind, which is accessible and near at hand. It illuminates the power of the human spirit in a way that transcends differences and evokes the best in all people. No one can read this book without being touched and inspired. And Judith also is an amazing lady who works with many different people. And in fact, I'm going to send links to both George Pransky and Judith's work. So the introduction from the man himself, Sydney Banks, was written in March 1998. There are those in this world who believe miracles do not happen. I can assure such skeptics that they do. With hope and faith as beacons, anything can happen. If these writings bring a second chance of life to just one human being, my work has not been in vain. So the missing link is written in chapters. And I'm going to read one chapter at a time and send the recordings to you. But what I love, there's a story about this book. And as you'll see as you go through, on some pages, there are not so many words. And on other pages, there are like big gaps of words like this. And there's a story, as I remember it, which was, one of the publishers kind of said, well, we could make the book much cheaper and we could put lots of words onto one page and it could be thinner and it could be, easier to produce. And Sid said, no, it's the space that's important. Right? It's the space between the words. It's not the words. And I love that because it's that space when we fall into and remember and see that space is always there in our mind. That's where wisdom talks to us. Yeah, when the mind clears, wisdom appears. And when we leave space, when we're not filling our heads with our own personal thinking, overthinking, we don't leave room for to hear that little flute that's in the background of all the noise. So this is the first chapter, The Missing Link. One of the greatest misconceptions ever is the belief that it takes years to find wisdom. Many experience time, few experience wisdom. The achievement of mental stability and peace of mind is one thought away from everyone on earth, if you can find that one thought. Throughout time, human beings have experienced insights that spontaneously and completely change their behavior and their lives, bringing them happiness they previously had thought impossible. Finding wisdom has nothing to do with time. Achieving mental stability is a matter of finding healthy thoughts from moment to moment. Such thoughts can be light years or a few seconds away. The spiritual energy of all things, whether in form or formless, is known by many names. Nature is the physical form the spiritual energy has taken. Believe me, the subtle truth all people seek will never be found in the illusion of form called nature. Look deep inside your soul. This is where you will find the answer. Your thoughts and feelings are a mirror of your soul. Each living soul experiences life as an individual. This is why all humans live and see a separate reality. The divine truth that lies within each living soul never changes. It is eternal. The divine passes from the formless to form, and as human beings, we are both spectators and participants in this spiritual theatre called life. The great mystics of the world who tried to explain such knowledge had no choice but to speak in metaphors, knowing their words were only a representation of the spiritual wisdom that lies within the consciousness of all human beings. All human psyches are rooted in universal truth, and no person's psyche is better than any other's. Only to the degree of the individual's psychological and spiritual understanding does it appear to vary. Words are merely a form. Listen not to words, but to that which words attempt to convey. Remember, it is not the clay that represents the sculpture, but the form the artist has molded it into. Just like the clay of the sculpture, thought is not reality. However, our personal realities are molded via our thoughts. At the moment of birth, the virgin mind discovers creation, and the duality of life is born. Henceforth, you live in a world governed by thought. When clarity and purity of thought are present, the answer you seek will present itself. For what you seek is with you and has been with you always. In the silence of our minds lies creative incubation, bringing the wisdom and the joy we all seek. Thank you, thank you.